Just a little disclaimer before the video starts. As I made this video, there seems to be some lag in my microphone audio, which hasn't been an issue up until now. This seems to be primarily due to the fact the complex VR chat world I was in, and having the list of questions open on Notepad at the same time. This caused intense lag on my headset, which then caused synchronization issues with the mic. So if you hear any audio abnormalities, or unusual pitches, or just lag, I apologize in advance. I reviewed the footage, so anything that was hard to hear properly, I captioned, or at least tried to. So if you think you misheard something, check the video for a caption. Otherwise, for the most part, there is no lag. There may be some, but it's not too bad. If you want to skip the introduction and go straight to the Q&A itself, go ahead and skip to the timestamp listed on the screen. Thank you for 2,000 subscribers. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Hooray and ooh-ah. Well, I'm very proud of all of you. We made it to 2,000 subscribers. Bingo. More than 2,000 actually. I never thought we'd be here, but here we are. We could not have reached this milestone without the amazing community that is all of you, ladies and gentlemen. I especially want to shout out the Patreon and Ko-fi donators who have helped fund all of this and made it possible and financially work out. In fact, I'm just going to include the list of current Patreon donators right here. I even want to personally thank Artorius the King, since he has been donating to me at the largest tier for quite a long time now, and everything counts and goes a long way. Thank you. I'll also even include the past Ko-fi donators, since I use Ko-fi as a tip system where you can input custom amounts without included benefits, and that is so selfless. I want them all to be mentioned. There are a few of you, but you are all known right here and now. No matter how little was donated, it was all useful and helped me to create this content. You all know who you are, and I deeply thank you and give my greatest gratitude. More than that, though, the entire community here has contributed in some way. Many of you helped maintain the community. Despite it not being the most large and diverse community, you all were welcoming in the YouTube comments, the Discord, to other free ASM artists. You've helped spread the word, and you also expanded our base of operations, if you will. For that, there is no amount of gratitude I can give to thank for that, since that is pure love from the hearts and souls of each and every one of you. You genuinely love this content, so I'm going to keep making it. We've made it this far due to your help, and this is just the beginning. We are going to go even farther and look back upon this as one of just many milestones. No matter the sacrifice, you've done this out of love, and I appreciate that the most. Right. Without me taking up much more of your time, here's what you came for. It's Q&A time. Questions, and to the best that I can, answers from me, the big buff Papagen Daddy. Let's begin, shall we? So the first question in the Q&A channel. Oh, by the way, if you want to participate in future Q&As and didn't get the chance today, go ahead and join my Discord. linked in the description below. I have a dedicated Q&A channel where anybody can input their questions. There's also even a suggestion channel, but that's more for overall quality. Anyway, first question. It says here, I know there's a vehicle channel which makes me assume you're into vehicles. 1. Are you more of a modern, old, or future/fictional vehicle person? 2. Do you have a favorite vehicle? 3. Which car do you want to drive if you could get it? Right, so more than one question there. I'll start with the first part. Are you more of a modern, old, or future/fictional vehicle person? Personally, I'd say all of the above. Does not matter to me. I prefer the style of some older vehicles, but for the most part, we've designed cars to be as efficient and useful as possible in the modern age. Even sports cars, but also, unfortunately, we've overcomplicated them as well. I'm looking at you, BMW and Mercedes. Alright. 2. Do you have a favorite vehicle? Of course. Yeah. The 1987 Nissan 200SX hatchback with that sweet 6-cylinder 3-liter V6 engine. Also with headlight vents and pop-up headlights. It's a sexy looking car and can even start to get up to 31 plus miles per gallon despite its big engine. It's sporty, yet it doesn't lose its essence of economy. And you know this from the 153 horsepower and rear-wheel driving axles. I like to call these kinds of cars eco sports or economy sports cars that have the style of sports cars but are decently quick, lightweight, and most definitely controllable around the corners. And a lot thanks to that rear-wheel drive capabilities, but that can be a downside in some terms of safety. The average Joe these days. Alongside that, though, incredible economy given its engine and aforementioned power. Right. 3. Which car do you want to drive if you could get it? Well, I just said it. Definitely the 1987 Nissan 200SX I just talked about. Okay. Next question. Any favorite video games, movies? Well, my favorite video games of all time is likely the Metal Gear Solid series, particularly Snake Eater, Pete Walker, and both Metal Gear Solid 5s. My favorite movies, as of this time, and it could change, probably the Evil Dead series. For just one movie, probably Inception. That's a really good movie. A third question. Favorite ASMR sound? Probably mouth sounds and kisses from a Papagen. Ooh, yeah. I find those real comforting. Okay. Fourth question. Is there any lore to your character? Yes, there is. There's a lot of lore. A lot of lore to me. But, you have to figure that out for yourself, silly. Next question. Let me just scroll, because I do have them open up here. Okay, fifth question. Follow up to that question. If there was lore, would you do a lore-related ASMR series? That would be cool. I mean, stuff that's more story-related, of course. But you're pretty much experiencing the lore right here. You cutie. Sixth question. Okay. Since you are the big boss, Papagen, how do you manage to sneak around without being detected while being absolutely huge? Well, first of all, stealth armor, as well as convincing interrogation and CQC tactics. I mean, just when I walk around, you'd hear this bulky armor. A Papagen has his ways. Next question. How did you come up with the name Dr. John DejaVu in 1984? Is there any importance behind the name and assumed to be year? Yes, there is. So, I got doctor because I am pursuing medical school, and to become a general surgeon who by then is a doctor. I also am majoring in biology, so I added it by heart. Now, I originally wanted to just go with Dr. DejaVu, but earlier when I was coming up with the name, I wanted to come up with something more unique and noticeable. I mean, at first I did Kitsune Romantic, but I didn't like the way it sounded. I used to use other names before that, but I didn't feel the need for a sense of making my name too unique by then. I mean, hell, if you could find the history today of names before that, you'd probably find some names like Pickle Juice, Time Warlock, and others even I forgot. Again, I didn't care until I made my persona. Hopefully we get a question on that next time. But eventually I arrived at Dr. John DejaVu because just Dr. DejaVu implies a first name. Hence, John. Now, I didn't want people to think the first name was just Deja. Either. I wanted DejaVu to run completely smooth for the whole last name, just Dr. DejaVu. So I had to finish it up. Dr. John DejaVu. Now, the year 1984. I think almost everyone I talk to gets it wrong. No, it's not the year I was born. I was born in 2005. I just like the 1980s and the style of the 80s. At that particular year, of course. I just found it really appealing. Furthermore, I also enjoyed the book with the same name by George Orwell, dubbed 1984. And to add on top of that, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, takes place in 1984. I hope that answers your question. I did go into some detail about it. Next question. Sorry, I have it pulled up. I somehow lost it. Let me... Okay, here it is. What made you decide to have a Papagen as one of your primary avatars? So, I feel like the Papagen just really fits my personality. And when things get rough, I really come off as a dad. From others' experience, they could tell me that. From how I feel personally, I could say the same. Especially just when helping others. I also stay in shape. I am in the U.S. Army, so it's a must. even then, I've been exercising and staying healthy and getting big muscles before then. Way before then. I've been involved with sports, weightlifting, my hobbies. Just a lot of that. On the same note, I'd say I also really, really love protogens and primogens. So a Papagen was just perfect. It combined the best of both worlds. I hope that answers your question. Next question. Okay, this does the 1984 and Dr. John DejaVu 1984 have anything to do with the famous dystopian novel by George Orwell 1984, which takes place in the year 1984 and was published on the 8th of June 1984? Okay, so kind of a repeat of a part of a question, but I'll answer it more descriptively. So I don't know if this is a poke at the book's meaning of misinformation and the like, but it was actually published on the 8th of June 1949. It was a prediction of the year 1984, though I'm sure you were aware of this. But I have no clue if you did that on purpose when asking this question. But if so, it was kind of clever. But yeah, the 1984 part does deal with the famous dystopian novel by George Orwell. At least partly. I just liked the book, and I also liked the 1980s. And, well, of course, as I mentioned, the style of the 80s I described earlier. I hope that answers. Next question. British question. Do you like tea? And if not, do you like any other hot drink? If so, what is it? So, I do like tea, especially if I have nasal issues or I'm sick. I prefer healthier teas, but nothing like a good pick-me-up in the morning kind of tea gets me going. Unfortunately, due to personal circumstances, I usually do not drink tea. I like it, but I don't have a lot of it. I'm kind of at odds with coffee, however. I don't dislike it, but I don't entirely like it either, which, compared to tea, I'm fine with. Maybe you find that odd, maybe you don't. In the end, I could just go for some good hot chocolate for a hot drink, honestly. I don't need no energy drinks, caffeine, none of that. Just give me some hot chocolate. I know it's going to be quite niche, but ... Ford or Chevy? Okay. For me, this depends. In the modern era, both are not at all bad, but aren't the best. I'm just gonna be honest. They don't make reliable vehicles as they used to, or at least reliable in the sense, economically speaking, compared to a lot of Japanese/Asian economy cars. I really loved what Ford did in the 1960s to fight and beat Ferrari, just to show them who's really boss, and what can happen to perfectionists who were in charge of Ferrari at the time. It really is a symbol of life for Ford there. Unfortunately, from the 40s up until the late 2000s, Ford solidified its reliability a little too late. GM, on the other hand, has kind of kept their game up in terms of reliability. Good cars and good engines, or at least decent engines. GM, I felt, was also more openly educational about their vehicles, actually, in the past. Not that Ford wasn't. I'm just gonna tell you right now that it depends. I won't pick sides, but since they both are kind of bad, I'm not saying completely, at least in my opinion, I'll just tell you right now that it depends more specifically on the question and context. Kinda like both, kinda hate both. Depends. but there is no car brand I hate more than BMW and Mercedes. I can answer more questions on that if you'd like. And I can go on and on. Alright, next question. Not sure what to ask. What is your dream car? Okay. Sorry, this is kind of bad where I put this. I had it on the right, but I moved it to the left. Okay, sorry. I'll restate the question. Not sure what to ask. What is your dream car? Or if you have it already, what upgrades would you put in it? Right. So, I mean, I already answered that, and it would be the 1987 Nissan 200SX hatchback I mentioned earlier. Now, the upgrades, I'd probably put a turbo on it, a turbocharger, but that would severely ruin the economy if I use it too much on the intake, right? Supercharger probably wouldn't be any better. I don't want to touch the engine too much. I'm not really a racer on it. I'd probably improve the engine mounts or stabilizers since, well, while the V6 does balance the 200SX in many ways, it's a bulky engine for a car that size. I'd probably install a sunroof while on the topic, if there is an RA one, because I'm quite a tall boy, and I need room for my head sometimes. You know, I'm a really big Papagen. Like I said, that's just who I am. Things like suspension, I'd probably keep the suspension as it is, since I don't want to hit a bump and damage the bumper or anything, lowering it, and I likely won't go on the track too much. I might go to some car meets, show off that nice looking car, show off the nice looking engine. I'd add some fog lights if there aren't any already, maybe some better looking bumpers just for style, and that's about it. For the engine, yeah, maybe a turbocharger at most, and some other little tuning I could do for maintenance just to make it easier on myself, but likely not a turbo if I enjoy the economy as it is on that car. Right, next question. What outside of cars, guns, and big furry men would you say your hobbies are? Well, those pretty much are my hobbies. Big furry men, not sure what I mean. I am that. Besides the point, I really love cars and guns, especially how they work and how to use them. Outside of that, I really enjoy science. Despite my appearance, I love biology and have been studying it my whole life, which is funny because it is the study of life. I also enjoy the medical field and understanding medical anomalies. I enjoy understanding biochemistry to the extent and, well, how genetics work as well. I'm just gonna be honest. These sciences all go hand in hand and help make life for you all easier. Even if you're a physics major or a doctorate in that regard, you still need medical doctors to give you proper modern treatment for your survival and quality of life. Plus, this field is ever evolving anyway. Oh, and besides all of that, I might do some art, and of course, gaming. Next question. What is a daddy-gen? Me. I'm a daddy-gen. A big buff daddy-gen, to be precise. You know it. Next question. 3 questions, if that's fine. What motivated you to join the army? aside from free college? Haha. Do you like your current MOS? And lastly, how many of your fellow soldiers know about your ASMR? This is the second time you asked 3 questions, but yes, that's fine. Just don't go overboard asking like 20 in a row. I won't be surprised if after this I go onto that channel, I see people asking 10, 20 questions in a row. Just keep to 3 for now. I'll probably put a rule there. So you don't get free college from the Army, at least completely. They definitely have their limits depending on the context, at least from what I understand. As of this moment, pretty much everything I have is covered, but that's mainly due to the fact I've been doing well in university and haven't had to pay for much. The thing is, the GI Bill covers a lot, but only so much too, and I hope to cover some of medical school with that as well. Believe it or not, I pretty much had a free ride due to my GPA and other factors entering university. Joining the US Army was a personal choice, and the motivation is supported by some of the financial benefits, but I mostly want to do it for myself. Yeah. MOS, right. My MOS is a combat medic, 68 whiskey. Of this time, I enjoy it a ton, but once I utilize my bachelor's to become an officer, I am definitely pursuing special forces, no matter what, and there's no changing my mind no matter what you throw at me. Right. The last part of that question, none of my comrades know about my ASMR. At least, nobody I know there right now. It's literally just RSP right now, so I'll be seeing new people pretty much every drill until basic, but they're all unaware to my knowledge. Again, at least the people I know. I'm certain many of them would like it, though. Yeah. Next question. Wait. Okay. Yeah, alright. I'm curious about your accent because it is quite distinctive, but I can't pin it down. Is it a mix of different accents? You're kind of right on the money here. I'm from Western USA, so I've adopted a more formal accent, and this has been definitely solidified by the Army, being in the Army. However, I can sometimes sound a bit British or even Australian at times, and that's primarily due to the fact that ever since a decade ago, not even joking, I have been around a lot of people from the UK and Commonwealth countries with those accents, and it kind of spreads. Specifically when used in an educational setting where I've had lots of British professionals explaining to me in via lecture. Now, aside from that part of my accent, I'm mostly Western, or at least I try to keep it that way despite all the cowboy accent within my heart. It trying to escape, but I'll keep it in there. Or maybe not. Maybe I truly exemplify the western part of my soul. So silly. The Papagen can be kind of silly. Last question here before I wrap up. Any favorite movies, songs, and video games? So, repeat. Already answered part of this, but I'll add more on top of it. Songs, I love pretty much any Eurobeat. These songs and forms of music live in my heart and soul. Other than that, it's any good 80s song I like, but there's so many I can't list them. Video games, I already answered that, and some I currently play, at least right now, are Helldivers 2, Squad 44, formerly known as Postscriptum, BeamNG, and a few others I can't name or remember off the top of my head right now. Yeah. I'm a gamer, but when I game, I usually stick to a few, though I'm looking forward to the Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater remake, Metal Gear Solid Delta, right? It's supposed to be released before the end of this year. I gotta say, that time is running out for their development team. Hopefully they get something real good, because I will be playing that for sure. uh, yeah, I think that's all the questions. Excellent. Well, that's the Q&A. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you didn't have your question answered, please join the Discord mentioned in the description below. Go to the Q&A channel for the next Q&A. I'd love to answer all your questions. Besides that, thank you all for watching. Thank you. And thank you for over 2,000 subscribers. It means a lot. Have a nice day or night. And when you do, sleep well. Take care. Cutie.